I might have the worst take when it comes to issues and such, but I'll give it the best shot I got as possible in this video. There's been another controversy on Twitter again, and it has to do between gacha communities who are just chill and minding their own business until someone started to speak out in context of constructive criticism that the amount of influence of toxicity and overly attached egos are already spreading like wildfire, that in which all of us are included and now involved in this controversy. Also, how is Zenless Zone Zero doing so far?
Get to it.
Oh no. Anyways, so I saw this tweet from Iyo, who's a content creator, making fighting game content and also made content related to Zenless Zone Zero, which came out weeks ago. Yet, regardless of Hoyoverse and miHoYo's efforts to put as many advertisements as possible because, well, they earned so much money from Genshin and Honkai Star Rail, so yeah, large sum of money were spent on advertising rather than the improvements to the game and such. Well, Honkai Star Rail did better than Genshin, but that's not what we're going to discuss in today's video. And before we continue, I'm currently on a campaign to reach 5,000 subscribers because there will be a special video that is already done ever since I passed the 4,000 subscriber milestone. And there is a significant percentage shown that some of you haven't subscribed to my channel, so go ahead and click the subscribe button and also hit the bell icon so you won't miss any future uploads and live streams in my channel. I really appreciate it. It really means a lot to me and to all of us as well. So let's continue. It all starts off when Iyo tweets out a certain image from an article from Sports-Kita contains an exclusive information about developments of Wuthering waves and challenges with one of the senior producers of the game named Dong. The article contained questions about issues related to localization, game optimization, and other topics about transparency, feedbacks and suggestions, future projects and such, in which Dong stated that they'll have to focus on those two games as of now, Punishing Grey Raven and Wuthering Waves, for updates, content, and quality of life changes that majority of the community actually loved it. There is also news circulating around the internet as well that they're having a new project inspired from a game called Graffiti Rush, in which I'm not familiar with it, so might as well have to wait for more info and such. And this is where one question in this article got all of us hooked, basically asking on what was the initial concept they had in mind before the development. In response, their initial concept was inspired by Death Stranding, a game from Hideo Kojima, who also shared the same feeling and the sceneries of what a post-apocalyptic world looked like between new and old civilizations. This is where the controversy starts off, as Iyo stated, "No wonder Wuthering Waves has an awful open world experience, it being as empty as it makes way more sense now. We should have reported this during CBT2 instead of the damn voice acting," in which I would totally agree on his statement though. There is a bit of problem to the voice acting during CBT 1 and 2 because again, they're from China, they don't know too much about localization, and there's more info that I like to bring up, but we're gonna have to focus on this one first. And I mean, Death Stranding also has an empty atmosphere in this world. Because one, it was set in a post-apocalyptic world where humanity strives to survive while danger and mystery beyond the horizon, which also applies to Wuthering Waves as well. But due to backlash from the Chinese community during CBT1, not the global ones, they decided to make it a bit brighter and colorful just like in Genshin. I mean, can't we all just agree here for 1 second that CBT1 is way better than CBT2 and its release? If only the Chinese community learns how to be mature when it comes to these stuff, but oh well, that's why we hate them. Some, I guess, as to why many games that we wanted to play neither heavily adjusted nor heavily censored. Anyway, so after EU made a tweet about this, another content creator named Phantom Lux, who made PGR and wuwa content, shout out to you, and he tweeted out in response to EO's tweet. Might be one of the worst takes I've read this month, Lamau. In which, if I gotta be honest, I would say that EO's never experienced open world games during his younger years, I think. I mean, given the fact that he's into fighting game content, so yeah. And this is where the controversy starts to tense up. EO responded, "Read more takes then, Bob. Y'all over here acting like wuwa has the immersive world of RDR2 right now." And to those who know what RDR2 was, it's Red Dead Redemption 2 from Rockstar Games. And then Frosty replied on this tweet, "Didn't you know EO wuwa was better than DMC? Better than any RPG of the last decade and is more difficult than Elden Ring?" I mean, Frosty, Elden Ring is a difficult game, okay? It was already a difficult game ever since when they released their first game, including Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and so on. You just played the wrong way. Maybe you have a skill issue, that's why. And this is the tweet after that response earlier. It was quite long to read, but I'll just give a TLDR, and if you guys want to read, then feel free to pause the video. And to my understanding, I agree on what Phantom Lock said in this one. The vision of wuwa is already set in stone, and they're going to continue to give the same experience as Death Stranding. The dark atmosphere, the grittiness in which for us adults can handle it. I mean, we've been playing so much games that only matures can that has to do with violence, horror, I mean, anything, but due to amount of backlash, as I stated earlier, coming from China, okay? They had to rework the game from scratch. By rewriting the story from the beginning, being hostile against the MC, they decided to change it. They also changed the cutscene between the team and the Crownless and changing its color from grittiness to a more vibrant, in which personally, I do like vibrant looks in the sceneries, and I do like the idea of seeing your characters getting unconscious from a battle or a near-death scenario, but it almost felt like they're moving away from the original vision that was intended before their development. I mean, Punishing Grey Raven still retained its post-apocalyptic setting as they continue to give out more updates and such, and I'm still enjoying it. But there is one thing that I'd like to add as to why, despite my recent rant and criticism about the game's performance since launch of wuwa on mobile devices, especially on lower-end devices, is the amount of transparency they had between the devs and the community. It's also the reason why the game continues to improve is the amount of feedback and constructive criticism from us players and content creators. Now, regardless of what you said, there's also going to make some changes to the game, but they can never change their vision and their goal from the start, even if it doesn't meet your expectations. At the very least, they continue to improve. That also applies to localization as well. Why would you tell them that they're not good at localization if they can't get access to any information outside of the country? China. Then use VPN. Like, dude, even if you use VPN, you'll get arrested immediately, and no matter how many times you convince them and have reasons to it, it's never gonna work. You don't want to end up like what happened to Shirokami a few years ago, or years ago, who makes Genshin not safe for work content and had access to Patreon via VPN. After that long response from Phantom Locks, EO responded with this as if trying to correct the statement from his initial tweet, and maybe to correct things out that Phantom Locks said, and also quite long to read, so feel free to pause the video again if you want to read. And I'd like to have my own take on this one. Now, even though you said you quoting the developers in relation to the article, yet not only you had a hottest take about it, but you're also starting the argument in the first place. If I would be in that situation, I'll keep that take to myself and not gonna post it nor bother them, so they won't bother me. But that would make me a pussy, right? Both can, I guess. It depends. I do agree about the criticism and feedbacks, but you should also reconsider what you were about to say before releasing it to the public. I'm aware that some players had their expectations high when it comes to newly released games and such, myself included, but it's best way to mitigate yourself because you never know what's going to happen next. Not every game has a perfect launch, and I agree with that statement, but with support, feedbacks, and transparency between the devs and the community, including us content creators, that's where they start to improve. This discussion also underscores the importance of aligning a game's final product with its initial vision, especially when inspired by successful titles like Death Stranding. While Wuthering Waves may not currently meet the high standards set by its inspiration, constructive criticism and a focus of continuous improvement can help it evolve into a more immersive and engaging experience for us players. And I also like to bring this up once again, since I mentioned in one of my old videos that when Wuthering Waves is about to release globally, I had high doubts that the influence and toxicity happening in Genshin Impact and the community would also affect Wuthering Waves as well. And I have a feeling that it also affects other gacha games too, as well. Whatever the case, hoping that each community would be fine regardless of these issues, but hoping it won't end up being controversial or way beyond borderline of this kind of topic. So, yeah. And before I end this video, I'd like to hear your thoughts about this discussion. If you have any statements that you wanted me to correct, then feel free to leave it in the comment section below, and I'd love to have a discussion with you. That's all. Thank you all so much, guys, for watching. Take care, stay safe as always. Goodbye.